have some questions that have been sent in to us from the beyond. We've got Jeff from Dallas says, 1, I'm busy running a restaurant. How can I find the time to fit social media into an already chaotic schedule? And even if I did, 2, how do I do it? And wait for it, 3, what do I get out of it?
Okay, so he's busy running a
Curious guy,
restaurant.
this Jeff.
He's busy running a restaurant, but it seems to me like he recognizes there's value, right? He's saying, okay,
Or
I get
is
it.
there? He's asking, is there really value?
Well, I mean, he's even asking the question. He's thinking it's something he needs to be exploring, right? So he runs a restaurant. How does he fit it into his chaotic schedule? Well, if he's running a restaurant, he probably has staff. And what I always like to think is that not everybody is really built for this, right? Not everybody's built for customer service. There are those people who should work by themselves in a dark corner in an office building somewhere away from people because they probably hurt them if they did. Then there are those people that are really good with people. Then there's those really sanguinistic, outgoing, you love to see them, you high-five them when you pass them on the street, and they're probably working in your restaurant. Put them to work on it. Delegate this task to them. They probably have a proclivity for it anyway. Now, just having a Facebook page or having a Twitter handle doesn't really give you a prerequisite for managing a brand on social media, but let them try it a little bit. It'll take some of the weight off you, and you can at least kind of monitor it, monitor the quality, be the quality control for the social media outlets that the restaurant has without actually having to go in there and doing all the hard work. That person might really take it upon themselves to start reading blogs, maybe even blogging themselves in their part-time and learning how to really do this well for your business. The next question, so how do I do it? Definitely delegate it. And the last question, what do I get out of it? Your audience, your consumer is expecting it these days. When I go to a restaurant as a consumer, if I had a really good time, I go to their Facebook page, I let them know. I follow them on Twitter, I let them know. I was traveled this summer. I did the 2-week family road trip, and you better believe it, every restaurant that we ate at, I was taking pictures and sending them out on Instagram of my root beer float or my dessert or just how great my plate looked. I was at Gino's East in Chicago having deep dish, surrounded by pictures of all these celebrities. And I was taking pictures of the things people wrote on the walls. If you've ever been to Gino's, they give you a Sharpie when you walk in, and everybody's written on the whole wall, the chairs, the everything, the tables, everything's been written on with a Sharpie. And so, of course, my 5-year-old gets down there and starts writing her name because it's the only thing she can spell right now. And I'm taking pictures of her, and I'm checking in on Foursquare. I'm sending it out on Instagram. It's going out to my Facebook feed. My friends are seeing that. And so you need to be able to be in a place where you can monitor that kind of stuff, because had they responded to me in the moment and said, oh, just love that, we're going to bring you guys a dessert just for the free marketing, I'd have been like, that's great. I love free dessert. I'm full of deep dish pizza. Can I get it to go? If they were engaged with me, it multiplies their marketing message and their reach, which is fantastic. But marketing is only one really small component. What if I have a bad experience? I recently saw a restaurant Facebook page where they posted it to their wall that if you wanted to reserve on their website your dinner reservation, then it would make it so much easier for you to get in and get eating. And somebody went on and posted after that post, and they commented saying, well, my husband and I use your online reservation system, and it takes us 30 to 40 minutes to get in once we get there. We've even seen people seated before us that have shown up after us, so we don't think it really works all that well. And here's this very public conversation that's not really marketing, it's service recovery is what it is. Mm-hmm. And that restaurant, the person who manages that account went in almost immediately and said, I am the marketing director. Here's my phone number. We want to make this right. We feel terrible that you even had to go on here and say this. And then she went back to respond and say, thanks for the conversation. It's nice to see that you guys are so proactive. And then he went back and responded again and said, we are here to serve you. In fact, your input is now being fed to the people who are responsible for reservations so we can improve our system. That doesn't have anything to do with marketing at all. It had everything to do with service recovery, brand management online. It had to show that the business was social, accessible, that people could go and talk to them. It was really pretty remarkable.
With all this stuff that we discussed in our previous question, do I have, as a restaurant owner, do I have to hire actually a firm to handle my social media, or should I even invest that money in my marketing, part of my marketing, or should I use my staff?
So I used the example earlier of having your management staff or having somebody that has a proclivity. That being said, I wholeheartedly believe that you should outsource this to a firm that does this professionally. Some of them are very expensive and they're just a lot of hot air. Some are not as expensive. but how do you really know what's relevant? How do you know if they're doing a good job for you?
Exactly.
Social should do just a couple of things for you. It should definitely give you reach. You should be able to have a presence. You should be able to go to your Facebook page or your Twitter account, and things should be getting tweeted out. People should be actually engaging this content, having a conversation. Your Twitter handle should be having a bunch of @ symbols in it, talking to your consumers, as opposed to just a bunch of marketing messages that are being vomited out via Twitter. Same with Facebook. You want to have content that's going out, because even though I like your Facebook page once, doesn't mean I'm ever going to go back there again. But I'm going to look at my homepage and I'm going to see what my friends are all saying, right? As they're posting content, you got to make sure you're posting content at least once a day, so it's showing up in the mix of what my friends have to say, because when it resonates with me, you want to make sure that I respond to that, when that I'm there looking at it and I respond to that. It's kind of like, I like the analogy of waves at the beach. Your content's sort of like a wave, and your consumer, the fans of your fan page, for example, are surfers. So the beach might be empty at that particular moment. So you got to, by putting out content regularly, you get to determine where your consumer's at, and if they're even going to go out there on their board and catch a wave, for example. Having somebody on your staff do that means that you're giving this all over to somebody who doesn't do this on a regular basis, hasn't had years of experience understanding how it works, and can't understand the analytics behind it to explain to you if you have a relevant reach on these particular platforms. I mentioned earlier that Facebook gives you analytics, Foursquare gives you analytics, Twitter gives you pretty much nothing, but it does give you a really quick and easy way to communicate with your audience. It also allows you to search and filter through people in your own community, your demographic, as to whether or not they're hungry at that particular moment, and that you can go ahead and respond to them in a human way and invite them to come in and try your food, possibly even giving them a discount to incentivize them to come in, like the example with Downtown Burger. So should you have somebody do it for you? Absolutely, because you would not want your dishwashing staff at your host stand, and you wouldn't want your servers in the kitchen cooking the food. You need to have your aces in their places, and you want to have the right people with the best education and the best experience in the right place. And I really genuinely think that having somebody manage your social media is almost as important as picking a general manager. They have to have very high level of tolerance in terms of you want the best people responding in a customer service way, in a service recovery way, in a brand management way, in a reputation management way that understands all those things. And handing this over to a server in your restaurant is really going to cause you a lot more damage in the long run if it starts to pick up and develop some momentum. You're going to definitely want to outsource that. And there's some companies out there that will do it very, very affordably, a couple $100 a month, to just give you that presence and the monitoring that you need. And they don't need to be an expert. They don't have to even be in the restaurant business. It would help if they manage other restaurants. But what you need is a conduit of communication, so that if something does happen, there is an emergency. Somebody did, bite into a muffin and it had a shard of glass in it or something, and they took a picture and they tweeted it out and they posted it on your Facebook. When that happens, you want to make sure they can pick up the phone and call you, the owner or the general manager, and you can take care of it right away. They don't have to be the expert. They don't have to be the one doing that. But as long as you know who they are and you can communicate with them. And then the last thing I want to say about that is, they need to know how to read and understand the analytics so that they can come back to you and they could show you. I can tell you from experience, when somebody hires me to do this for them, I don't tell them what I can do for them. I tell them what I'm going to do, but I don't tell them what the result's going to be, because I need several months to go back and look at the data to see what I produce, because it's always different. It's a different audience. It's a different restaurant, even if they were the identical restaurants right next to each other. Because I know from experience that when growing up in California, there was a taco shop here and a taco shop here, and they had totally different audiences. Even though they served the same kind of food, had the same kind of wait staff, the same kind of management, they had a totally different audience. Right? I went to one. I liked one a lot, didn't really care for the other one, even though the food wasn't that different. I was the audience of one and not of the other. So you need people that can understand those different nuances and be able to really maximize that for you, and then come back after a period of time and say, here's how we're relevant, and here's a projection of how we think we can do in the future, because now we've got data to back that up.
Basically, engage them and reward them.
Yes.
Well, thank you. Any other advice that you have for?
Well, yeah, I got all kinds of ideas. I work with several restaurants all around the country. If anybody has questions, they can always message me at Joey McGirr on Twitter, or they can find me on my website at joeymcgirr.com.
Thanks for watching Restaurant Voice TV. Click the like button, leave us a comment, and check back often.